check out ESPN Film's newly released 30 for 30 podcasts. From the producers of our award-winning documentary series, this is an amazing collection of sports stories you need to hear to believe. Speaking of amazing, Delta Airlines and the Fly Delta app make your travel experience amazingly easy with real-time bag tracking, e-boarding, and passport scanning during check-in. And don't forget to download 30 for 30 podcasts to fill your flight with stories that will keep you coming back for more.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. That's 98.7 FM New York City. That's 710 ESPN LA. And, of course, nationwide over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM style, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Got a jam-packed show coming your way. The one and only Oscar De La Hoya, promoter extraordinaire, former 10-time world champion. He will be in the house with us at the top of hour number 2 to talk about this mega fight coming up in September. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G Gennady Golovkin, September 16th to be exact. Can't wait to talk to him about that, along with a few other things pertaining to the world of boxing. Got a lot of college football to get into. Got some NBA stuff to get into as well, because we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers reportedly looking to shop their number one pick. I'm sorry, their first-round pick that could end up becoming the number one overall pick, because it was a pick that belonged to the Brooklyn Nets. And so ultimately it was in Boston's hands. Now it's in Cleveland's hands. And if Cleveland decides to get rid of it, particularly with Boston in position to have the number one overall pick. I'm sorry, with Brooklyn in position to have the number one overall pick, a pick they forfeited to Boston that now belongs to Cleveland. Cleveland could end up having the number one overall pick if they're willing to package that along with Kevin Love. What do you think they could get in return? What do you think they should get in return in order to let it go? We'll be talking about that as the show progresses today. But the first order of business is news that Andrew Luck is going to miss week 1. I could get into Aaron Donald and go off about how the Los Angeles Rams still haven't signed him, which is utterly ridiculous considering the fact that he's one of the top 10 players in the National Football League, and the fact that they still haven't gotten him signed is utterly ridiculous, but I won't get into that right now because I'm in a good mood. I could get into the New York Jets and how pathetic and anemic they appear to be at this particular moment in time. I mean, why the hell do you trade Sheldon Richardson to the Seattle Seahawks for a wide receiver when you don't have a damn quarterback to throw him the football? I could get into that as well, but I'm in a good mood. And I certainly don't want to just irritate myself to the point where I end up going absolutely positively ballistic because of it. I'm going to try to wait until I at least get into the heart of the show before I lose my damn mind. But as my producers, Miss Cat Pastor, the one and only Jonathan Winthrop would tell you, I am not in a very good mood when I consider the level of ineptitude that's raking through the NFL from coast to coast, evidently in New York and L.A. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to hold off on going off about such things. And let me not front. It's not just that I'm patient. I also happen to be sick. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I got to just amp up the water and the hot tea and make sure I could protect my throat, because I got one of them damn sinus infections that's messing with my throat and making it scratchy and all of that other stuff. But I am here. Day after Labor Day. And thanks again to my man Dan Grassa for filling in yesterday for me as admirably as he always does, being a fantastic radio host that he is. But let me get back to this deal with Andrew Luck. See, ladies and gentlemen, when you consider the fact that Andrew Luck can't go for week 1, and you consider the fact that the Indianapolis Colts traded this wide outdoor set to the New England Patriots of all teams, okay, for Jacoby Brissett, a third-string quarterback who probably deserves to be a backup because he's good enough to do at least that, it gives you some indication of how tough things may be. It gives you some indication about where things may actually lie. And I say all of that to say to you, that tells me that Andrew Luck may not be ready to go. And it's going to be far beyond week 1. I just suspect that. You had the entire offseason to get ready for this season. You had the entire offseason. Last year he passed for over 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He didn't look like he was on suicide watch for a change because he wasn't being sacked to the degree that he had been sacked in years past. Andrew Luck has not played every game of his NFL career. In 5 years in the National Football League, he's been sacked 156 times. He's been hit about 400 times. This dude, because of Grigson, the former GM, and his inability to put a stout offensive line in front of Andrew Luck, has been on virtual suicide watch, for crying out loud. But somehow, some way, he's been upright enough to get to 3 playoff appearances, 3 consecutive 11-5 seasons his first 3 years in the National Football League. But right now, if you look at him, things are not great. Things are a bit tough. And the reality is that we don't know what the status of Andrew Luck may be moving forward. And if that's your situation, what do you do? And what do you think's going to happen in the AFC South? I, for one, think Houston's going to win the division. I believe that Deshaun Watson's going to do his thing. I take that back. It's a toss-up between Houston and Tennessee because I'm a Marcus Mariota fan. He's turned me into a fan. And I'm not ruling out anything with the Tennessee Titans. With DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. With Mariota. I think that they can make some noise on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, they're not too shabby. Let's see what they do. And in the end, what it comes down to is plain and simple. Andrew Luck, his career might not be in jeopardy, but you know what? I suspect that 2017 may be. The 2017 season. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not being definitive about it. But I do think it's worth noting. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Another thing I want to get into. I got to get into some college football. See, Sam Darnold wasn't that impressive to me for USC this weekend. Now, everybody want to talk about how Josh Rosen was so impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, he wasn't that damn impressive to me. And I like him. And I think he could play. And I like the battle that's going on in Los Angeles between Rosen and Darnold at UCLA and USC respectively. I really, really do. Because both of them are in the Heisman picture. And after Rosen threw for damn near 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, some would say he deserved it. To me, it wasn't that impressive. I saw at least 3 passes that should have been picked off. See, to me, the story behind it all, and it pains me to say it because I love this man. He's been a guest on this show. I love talking to him. I respect him. I think he's a hell of a coach, hell of a recruiter. But I got to look at Kevin Sumlin at Texas A&M right now. Does he deserve to be fired? No. Does he deserve to be on a hot seat? And does the pressure need to be amped up for his team to show up and produce on his behalf? You're damn right it does. Ladies and gentlemen, this transcends college football. It transcends the SEC conference. You know where this resonates with me so profoundly? What the hell are you doing losing a 34-point lead with 16 minutes and 38 seconds? What the hell is that about? All you got to do is run the damn football, milk the clock. That's all you got to do. For about the 3rd or 4th consecutive year, Texas A&M's defense stinks. I don't give a damn what anybody say. You're up 44-10. 44. I don't care that your starting quarterback got hurt. I don't care. I don't care that this dude, Nick Starkel, got hurt. He's a redshirt freshman, for crying out loud. I don't care. You got spotted 34 points. Your defense should be able to hold on to that, especially in the final 16 minutes. But UCLA comes back and scores 35 unanswered points. Don't give me Josh Rosen. That's your defense. That's your defense. And it's coaching. Because run the damn football, take the air out of the ball, and call it a day. There's been so much time left. How do you let that happen? That's just how I feel about it. I noticed a few other things along the weekend for college football. Liberty beating Baylor. Ain't that some irony? Liberty beating Baylor. Religious school beating college football's definition of Satan. That's right, I said it. When you consider 52 different allegations of rape, when you consider the days of Dave Bliss, a former basketball coach who tried to frame one of his players in terms of labeling them a drug dealer to disguise the fact that he was paying them after one of his other players murdered that player. When you consider the history of Baylor, if there was a program that deserved a death penalty more, I want to know what it is. I want to know what it is. And somehow they lost to the religious right in college football, which is that of liberty. Ain't that something? I also saw HBCU, Howard University, led by Cam Newton's little brother. 45-point underdogs would still beat UNLV. Watched Florida State lose its quarterback. I watched Alabama roll as the Tide does. And I'm wondering why nobody's talking about Clemson. That's just me.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
This whole story about this stealing signs issue, you know, the Yankees were suspecting that the Red Sox were stealing their signs. The Red Sox were found guilty by the MLB for doing so. And, you know, the president was like, hey, you know, sure, I don't have any problem with it. Everybody's in an uproar about it, acting like the Red Sox need to be punished. Look, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. I'm a native New Yorker. I mean, I love L.A. I can't front. I just do. I mean, L.A. is, here I come, y'all. But I'm a native New Yorker to my core. And I'm a diehard Yankee fan. And you know it's sacrilegious. It's blasphemous to me to ever say anything negative about Derek Jeter. You all know how I feel, El Capitan. We all know how I feel about him. But I got to tell you, this whole stealing of the signs and the Yankees, I mean, just stop it. It's much ado about nothing. First of all, when you're pitching, you know what? If you're going to throw a fastball, you got the glove lower. You throwing a changeup or something else, you taking something off of it, you know, whatever, or actually putting something on it, you hold the glove higher because you worry about signs being stolen. Okay? I mean, you play against each other all the time. You're nemesis against one another. Each of you are going to use every edge that you can. And here's the most important part of all of this. Stealing signs is not illegal in baseball. Now, the MLB commissioner came out, okay? Mr. Robert Manfred comes out and he sits there and says, hey, well, you know what? The only thing illegal about it is electronic equipment and, you know, somebody not even involved in the game feeding. So I mean, stop it. If it's all right to steal signs, what are we going to outlaw stealing signs, then come talk to me. But until you do that, everybody's looking for an edge. I don't care. I'm not saying that it isn't illegal to some degree, I guess. I'm saying I don't care. In the sport of baseball, you steal signs. That's what you do. So somebody facilitates Boston stealing the signs better than normal. We got a problem. Outlaw the stealing of the damn signs. And don't compare it to Deflategate, by the way, because the balls can't be deflated to a certain point. As my man Carlton in Massachusetts pointed out, who's now moving to Tampa, by the way, he pointed out on several occasions how New England was very, very good and gifted at holding on to the football. They didn't fumble the way a lot of other teams did. Because the football, you take some of the air out of it, it's easy to hold on to. All right? And once that was nullified, because we found out that they were deflating footballs, all of a sudden they were fumbling the balls excessively more than usual last season. Okay, we get that. But guess what? The NFL had outlawed it, which means rules were clearly and flagrantly broken. And that's why the NFL felt the need to deal with it. In the sport of baseball, people stealing signs all the time. So now we're going to debate how they doing it. It's either okay to steal signs or it's not. If it's okay to steal the damn signs, who cares about an electronic advantage? I don't care. Just stop it. Grow the hell up. Compete. Figure it out. People sit up there and talk about it all the time. Bill Belichick must be cheating. Or the city of Boston. I don't want to hear that. I'm a native New Yorker. I don't root for things in Boston, but I recognize greatness when I see it. Don't tell me that Bill Belichick ain't the greatest of the modern era. Damn it, if he's cheating a little bit all along the way, why don't y'all figure out how to cheat as well? I bet you wouldn't mind if the Jets were cheating with their inept selves. You're going to trade Sheldon Richardson and get a receiver when you ain't got no damn quarterback. That sounds right. So I just don't want to hear it. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in hearing it. Tell you what I am interested in. I'm interested in what I'm seeing from the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'll tell you that much. I can tell you that much right now. I look at it and I tell you this. These Diamondbacks, particularly with the way Greinke's pitching and that offense, and the way they've been having their way with the Dodgers, everybody been talking about the Dodgers, World Series, World Series, World Series. Damn it, you might not win a divisional playoff round. I'm just saying. It's something to pay attention to. It truly, truly is. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. And for those of you thinking I'm eating on the air, I'm not eating. Just so you know. I eat during commercial break. On the air, I'm sucking in my saliva because I'm not feeling well. I'm just letting you know. 866-729-ESPN. By the way, you know what disgusted me when I heard last night? About everybody talking about this news. Ray Lewisâ, speaking out on the NFL, inside the NFL show on Showtime. And, he talked about Colin Kaepernick and, ESPN sitting up there with the Sports Center updates. And it's like, well, this is what Ray Lewisâ said. Well, I reported that a month ago. Got off the phone with Ray Lewisâ that hour, went on First Take and reported, look, this is what Ray Lewisâ said. He was with Steve Bisciotti, Colin Kaepernick, and them. They were talking about bringing him on board. He was about to get signed. And then his girlfriend, Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend, sent out a tweet comparing Steve Bisciotti and Ray Lewisâ to Leonardo DiCaprio's character, along with that of Samuel L. Jackson in the movie Django, where DiCaprio was a slave owner. And Samuel L. Jackson was the epitome of a house slave, and you know which other word comes with that. I'm here to tell y'all I wouldn't have signed Kaepernick either. So I'm thinking about bringing you on board when little to nobody else wants you. And your girlfriend's going to send out a tweet about me and you say nothing? I'm going to believe you're complicit. I'm going to believe that's extra drama coming my way. I'm going to believe that you're unappreciative. And my man Max Kellerman tried to make the argument that's exactly what she was tweeting about. That's exactly what they were talking about. Because the fact that you got 31 white owners and the Pakistani owner of Jacksonville, Mr. Shad Khan, the fact that that's all you have in the NFL is the problem. No, that's a bad example. Because let me tell you something. It could have been a black owner. Steve Bisciotti could have been black instead of white. And she still might have called him Samuel L. Jackson's character. You think that's any more flattering? It doesn't apply. I'm sitting there. I got the gold. The golden rule. Those with the gold make the rules. I'm a billionaire owner. Hell, I'm a black man. And I'm trying to support Colin Kaepernick. And he sends out a tweet like that about me. I'm not hiring him. Man, kick rocks. The hell out my face. Who the hell you think you are? That's how I would roll. And I'm pretty sure any owner would think like that.
You going to do that before I even sign you? What drug are you sniffing? Please.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Always my honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line, my buddy, my friend, outstanding NFL analyst for ESPN, the one and only Coach Herm Edwards. What's going on, Coach? How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm good, and I think I'm like everyone else. We're excited about some of these games that are going to actually get played this week.
Well, let me serve to ruin your mood for just a couple of minutes, because we obviously have to start off by talking about Ezekiel Elliott, how the arbitrator Harold Henderson upheld the 6-game suspension. Your reaction, when you heard the news, and what you're peeling from it all.
Well, my first reaction was you anticipated that this could happen. With that being said, it's still going to stay in the court. It's good if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, if you're a fan of football. I mean, you love to watch this guy play. But my main concern would be this. It's bigger than just this one game. It's about this young man. And he has shown a repeat ability to always be in the wrong place at the right time. And if you're an organization, that has to bother you some. You ask yourself this question when you sit down with this young man. How does your name come up in a domestic violence case? Why are you involved in that? Why are you involved when there's a fight in the bar and you're there? Why are you involved with a woman at a parade where there's some misconduct that has taken place? Why is your name there? Why are you there? That's the question you got to ask yourself as an organization. And when he tells you those answers, you got to look at this man and say, you know what? You've made some bad choices. And there have been no consequences for those choices. And there are consequences. And this is what we're going to do as an organization to help.
You know what, Coach? You sound like you almost agree with me in this sense. We were not there. He has one story. The alleged victim, Tiffany Thompson, has another. Both angles highlighted in the NFL's 160-page report. But I'm of the mindset that Ezekiel Elliott should be suspended just for stupidity, for continuously finding himself in these situations, and that the NFL, in concert with the Dallas Cowboys, should be trying to send this man a message. You got a bright future with you, but we're going to make sure you understand you are going to pay, and pay dearly, if you find yourself in these kind of situations. It sounds like that's what you're saying, Coach.
You're exactly right. And Stephen A., I agree with you in this sense, is that there are consequences, and if you're the organization to help this young man, he has to realize this is what we're going to do now. We're not going to wait on somebody else to do this, because, this young man needs somebody to tell him enough is enough now, because your career is important. But you growing up to be a young man is more important. And this is what you got to do if you're going to function in our society.
What were your thoughts about his father's initial tweet when it all went down, talking about we going to see and it's going to come to the courts and all of this other stuff? Because I had to call his father out on my final take today, saying that they're talking about how your son doesn't know how to act without football. They're worried about him being away from the team, away from the practice facility, and all of this other stuff. What does that say about you in terms of the son you raised? Why are they having these concerns? What were your thoughts about him?
Well, my thoughts with this is, and I've said this, and hopefully it won't be taken the wrong way. I've always said this, Stephen A., and you coming from a home where, you love your mama now. Yeah. And, I love my parents, and I know this. I've always told this, the best dinner is cooked at home. It's cooked at home. And it starts there. It starts there, Stephen A. It started there for you. It started there for me. And we knew when we walked out of that door that our last name belongs to that household. And we were going to be putting ourselves in a situation where that was going to get compromised by any stretch of the imagination.
Said it better myself. Herm Edwards right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's transition to another off-the-field matter to some degree anyway, and that's, obviously the aftermath of Hurricane or Tropical Storm Harvey, and now you've got Irma coming to the Florida area, and, of course, the West Indies, the Virgin Islands, where a lot of my family members still are. I'm praying that everybody's going to end up safe and sound, but there's not going to be a game in Miami between Tampa Bay and Miami. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that they did the right thing by moving the game? Should they have canceled the game? I mean, what's your mindset?
I think the league did the right thing, and I was hoping they would do that. I mean, the disruption of this, it's bigger than a football game. Stephen A., and I dealt with a horrific situation when my first year as a head coach. It was 9/11. And I can remember them basically waiting almost till Thursday before they canceled the games. And they all needed to be canceled. And that was a whole different situation, but they canceled the games. And I think to cancel this game, to let people find their way and make sure nothing happens, this is the proper thing to do.
Well, they postponed it till week 11 of the NFL season. That means it's not going to be a bye week for them. I think they'll be just fine. I think they'll be just fine, okay. Coach.
Yes, they will.
Let's get to some stuff on the football field because we know that we've had some interesting games. Thursday night, the New England Patriots, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, open up against Kansas City. What are your thoughts about that game?
Well, I think it's a game that's going to be highly watched. It's to kick off our season. Two very good football teams. Kansas City Chiefs are a perennial playoff team. This game means a lot to Kansas City in the sense they have to go to New England, and if they're going to get in the playoffs like they did last year, they might end up playing them again in the playoffs. So I think this is a team that goes on the road. Remember, they went up there 2 years ago. The score was 20-27.
Right.
So they played them pretty good, but they're going to have to be all hands on deck to beat these guys. The Patriots, as we know, Tom Brady did not start last year. He was
suspended
last year. Right?
4 games. 4 games.
4 games,
That's
right?
That's right.
And I will say this: the 8 times that he started opening day at home, he's 8-0.
Well, not just that, Coach. I'll go a step further. Considering the fact that he was suspended at this time last year for the first 4 games of the season, considering the fact that he still came back, had an exceptional MVP caliber season, and ended up winning the Super Bowl championship and the MVP, considering the fact that now to open this season basically it's your ring ceremony, combined with the fact that Roger Goodell is going to be in attendance, I think New England's going to be hyped. I don't think Kansas City stands a chance in this game because of those reasons.
Well, I do know this. If you're Kansas City and if you're Bill Belichick, there's something that you got to worry about if you're Bill Belichick, and it's your special teams. They have 2 dynamic returners in Hill and obviously DeAnthony Thomas.
That's right.
And that bothers you. That bothers you. And they lost their punt returner, Cyrus Jones, New England. So special teams could kind of, no one's talking about that. But that could weigh big in this football game.
What's the game of the week for you? Because I'm looking at the Giants-Cowboys on Sunday night. Now that Ezekiel Elliott's going to be allowed to play that game, I'm thinking about Seattle at Green Bay. That's a big-time game myself. I'm just looking at some of these games right here, and I like, I like the Raiders and the Titans game as well. What are you interested in most?
That one right there. I'm going to keep my eyes on that one, Stephen.
Why?
Because the Titans are a team that can challenge to win this division.
You think they're ready?
Yeah, I think they are ready to play and win this division. This is a big game for them. They're playing a playoff football team, a team that everyone's kind of liking. They're the team everyone's talking about, the Raiders. But the Titans are a team. Be careful now. This is a big game for the Titans.
What about the teams in New York? I mean, as good as the Giants could potentially be, how awful do you anticipate the Jets may be? Your former team. Trading Sheldon Richardson and bringing in a receiver when you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I think if they're going to have to play defense, especially, that's the only way they're going to be competitive. They can't rely on their offense a whole lot. I think they will get some play out of the quarterback position, but it won't be good enough to win games for them. They got to convince the quarterback, whoever he is, don't lose the game. Don't lose the game. And if you do that, they'll be competitive enough in some games where they'll win some.
Coach, real quick, 2 stories at the forefront of my mind is I am appalled that the Rams haven't found a way to sign Aaron Donald. Are you?
I am, and I'm actually doing that game on ESPN Radio, the Rams and the Colts. So I'm going to be investigating on why that's not getting done.
I don't understand it. This dude is one of the top 10 players in the games, Coach, and he's somebody that actually wants to play for the Rams, which says a lot. You know?
Yeah. He's their best player.
The other thing is there a problem that you have? Why are the Chargers playing in the 27,000-seat stadium? I mean, they couldn't find a better arena for these guys?
Stephen A., really? I think it's – I've been in that stadium. I actually coached their college all-star game. Because of the fact they're moving and, their fan base is kind of torn, they'll actually almost pack that thing. They can use that as a venue to really – get an advantage of a home field advantage. So I think it's okay because if they went in the Coliseum, Stephen A., there's going to be 22,000 people in that Coliseum. You know how bad that's going to look?
Yeah. I got you.
So I get it. I get the move. I get that move. It's okay. It's okay.
Coach, we'll be talking throughout the season, man. I always appreciate your time, buddy. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, my friend.
Take it easy. The one and only Coach Herm Edwards, NFL analyst extraordinaire for ESPN, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Back with your phone calls and more in a minute.
Give Stephen A. a piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
As we go, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's go to Mike in Denver. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Mike? Talk to me, bro.
What's going on with you, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Talk to me. What's going on?
Just chiming in on that Ezekiel Elliott thing, man. It just seemed like this thing got all the way out of hand, man. You know, like you said, and then, Herm Edwards made a good point. At some point in time, Dallas going to have to start owning up to this discipline, method that they don't have with their players. Jerry Jones is like, hey, if the police don't say you did it, then I'm going to ride with you. And that's the wrong approach to keep sending to all these players, man. It's terrible.
You know how Dallas is. Anything to be in the news, anything to win. They don't want something like this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not accusing them of that. But at the same time, it's like if you get yourself caught up in the situation, Jerry Jones ain't going to speak against cats because Jerry Jones is trying to protect his players because that's one of the reasons why everybody loves playing for him.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, like you pointed out in Herm, going back to Herm again, at some point in time, these guys got to stand accountable. And and then another point that you touched on that's absolutely right. Zeke has not once said, I didn't do it. Not one time has he said, I did not commit a crime. And then, when you look at that point right there, then there's something going on with him that he don't want to discuss because, like you say, all them different times, man, running for the police with the run-ins with the police, something is going on, man.
Yeah,
not just with him and this issue, but as you know, coming up in New York and I'm coming up in D.C., you got guys that play ball, but you get the word that they're hanging on the corners. Man, if your name keep coming up, eventually something gonna happen. And with Zeke, if he don't get himself together, something bigger than this gonna happen, which we don't want to happen. Right. But he need to get a grasp on what he's doing, man.
He got to. They got to reel him in. And by the way, you're the commissioner. You don't need an explanation. I'm the commissioner. You sullied the name of the shield and the brand. Whatever you did, you did. Whatever you didn't do, you did. That's your problem. Figure it out. You ain't gonna be attaching all of this noise and nonsense to my league. Period. It ain't that damn complicated. It really, really isn't. Appreciate the call, Mike. Love you, bro. Always appreciate you. Brandon in South Carolina, talk to me. You're live with Stephen A.
What's up, Stephen A?
Go ahead, buddy.
Now, I got two topics that I want to get to, but before I even get to them, I got to talk about who's uploading the podcast for First Take. Because Stephen A.
Look. I'll address that later, man. You got a couple of minutes on the radio. Don't even worry about that. They'll take care of it. They'll figure something out. I don't know what's going on with that stuff. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an electrical engineer or anything like that, bro. I don't know. I really don't.
Okay, well, I'm going to just make my point with that. Sometimes it's coming on the ESPN app like 5 hours after the fact, which is another story. Like you said, you'll get to that or whatever. But with the whole Ezekiel Elliott thing, to me, the NFL just reared its ugly head at the wrong time. Like, the way I'm looking at it, if the Dallas PD or whatever police department it was in Texas, if they didn't have enough information to gather to put him in court or put him in trial, that's when the NFL should have left it alone. That's
Columbus, Ohio. But here's the problem. See, here's the problem with your argument, Brandon. You don't get to make that call, and I don't get to make that call. This dude worked for the NFL, so you might not like it, but let's deal with the real. Let's deal with the fact that this man doesn't have the power. They do. And that's what they elect to do because they got advertisers and sponsors to cater to, and they got to show and display at all costs that they're in control. So let's deal from that premise, Brandon, because that's reality.
And I agree with you from that standpoint. Whatever the article it is, yeah, Roger Goodell has the control, but at some point in time, it's just about being an honest human being and what's at hand. Like you just said,
they don't have to. They don't have to. And see, that's the problem that we have to get to, Brandon. Look, if you live in South Carolina?
Yes, sir. Let
me tell you this. You're in South Carolina, right? You like all the laws that exist there?
No, not at all.
You obey them, though, don't you?
Yeah, to the best of my ability.
That's right. That's right. You know why? Because if you don't, there's going to be a consequence. Period. That's what we have to deal with. You don't get to sit up there and say, well, you know what? At some point in time, the NFL don't have to do a damn thing. Where you going, Brandon? You going to watch the games this Sunday?
Oh, of course I'm watching.
Are you going to watch tomorrow night's game, New England, Kansas City?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're going to watch those games Sunday and Monday, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm going to make sure.
So tell me, the operative word here is have. Tell me, why does the NFL have to do anything? I said focus on the word. I said focus on the word have. Have
That's
to.
What I'm saying. They don't have to do anything. But
there
when you put
go.
it like that, then
That's
that should
right.
be the end all be all.
That's right.
One more thing to add to you.
Go ahead.
Your Steelers is on upset alert this week against the Cleveland Browns. You need to watch out.
That's funny. Have a nice day. Was it Sean Kaiser, some rookie quarterback out of Notre Dame that could barely be consistent during Notre Dame, all of a sudden going to step on an NFL field and he going to do damage against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Good luck with that. If the Steelers lose to him and get embarrassed by him on opening weekend of the NFL season, shame on them. Shame on them. I don't care what anybody say. Ain't nothing to worry about here. Please. Steelers worried about the Browns. I root for Hugh Jackson. I like him as a person, and I think he could coach. I just don't think he has much to work with. Listen, with all the picks that they have over the next couple of years, there is no excuse for the Browns not to become a respectable team. But that's in the future. That's not this year. I ain't saying they're going to go 1-15. But damn it, even if they tripled their level of production, they're still 3-13. I'll give them 4-12. But that's about all. You're in the AFC North with Cincinnati and Baltimore and Pittsburgh. You ain't winning more than 4 games. I'm sorry, I just can't see it. Hugh Jackson pulls that off. I give him a whole bunch of credit. Hour number 2 up next. We had Herm Edwards. The great Evander Holyfield will be on the line with us next. Stick around. It's Stephen A. Hour number 2 coming at you.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.
Check out ESPN Films' newly released 30 for 30 podcasts. From the producers of our award-winning documentary series, this is an amazing collection of sports stories you need to hear to believe. Speaking of amazing, Delta Airlines and the Fly Delta app make your travel experience amazingly easy with real-time bag tracking, e-boarding, and passport scanning during check-in. And don't forget to download 30 for 30 podcasts to fill your flight with stories that will keep you coming back for more.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Gonna get back to the phones because Evander Holyfield is coming on with us in approximately 30 minutes or so. Looking forward to talking to the former heavyweight champion, light heavyweight, cruiserweight, and heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, especially with this upcoming matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Triple G Gennady Golovkin, September 16th in Vegas. Oscar De La Hoya was on the show. Yes, they can't thank him enough. And I can't say enough about him, and I can't say enough about what they're doing, because let me tell you something right now. Even though Floyd and them didn't do anything wrong, because who the hell's going to turn down that amount of money? Floyd's going to end up pocketing over $300 million for fighting McGregor, and McGregor's going to get about $100 million. Even though there's absolutely, positively nothing wrong with that, and we get all of that, and how nobody would have turned that down, if you're Oscar De La Hoya, a 10-time champion, one of the great boxers, a Hall of Fame boxer, and the sport of boxing is what you're talking about, you don't want that fight to be confused with the caliber of fight this is. As much as we were entertained by Floyd Money Mayweather and Conor McGregor, and they deserved it because they didn't cheat us. Like the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight cheated us. Let's be real about something here. Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G is a big-time fight. This is special. I agree with Roy Jones totally. This ain't going a distance. I can't imagine it. I really, really can't imagine it. Canelo Alvarez is special. Power in both hands, a superb boxer, got speed, throws great combinations. All of that's true. Triple G is a monster coming at you, just so big, so strong, so thorough. And if Triple G uses that jab, Canelo could have some trouble, man. It could be a problem. And I'm here to tell y'all right now, let me be very, very clear. I got Triple G winning in the 11th. I think the fight's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be a war. But I think ultimately the bigger, stronger Triple G is going to catch Canelo late. And that'll be all she wrote. That's where I'm at with it. But I tell you this much. Buy this fight. If there was a fight that was worth $100, if there were two fighters that deserved a 9-figure payday for a fight, it's these dudes. It's these dudes. I sincerely hope everybody out there is smart enough to show up for this. This is the kind of fight you pay for. This is the kind of fight. This is Hagler Hearns. Damn near. That's the kind of fight this is. I'm going to be there and I'm still buying it on pay-per-view. That's how special this fight is. I ain't missing this for nothing in the world. Lord willing. I'm telling you that right now. This is what it's all about right here. And Oscar delivered on his promise. Told me months in advance, Stephen A., these boys will be fighting one another in the year 2017. I promise you that. And he delivered. I got nothing but love for Oscar after that. I'm telling you that right now. Nothing but love for him. 866-729-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. 729-ESPN is the number to call up. Let's go to Vertus in Memphis. You're live with Stephen A. What's going on, Vertus?
What's going on, Doc?
Talk to me.
What's going on with you?
I'm good. Go ahead.
I got a question about the Ezekiel Elliott incident. Okay, you all read the document of everything that was in there, right? The 140 page, 68 pages, whatever it is.
160 pages, yes.
160 pages. Why nobody brings out the issues between her lying, making up stuff?
Well, stop right there. Stop right there. You might have read it, but you ain't listening to talk radio. All anybody has pointed to is the inconsistencies in her reports. How she lied. She told them she's white, you're black. They'll believe me before they believe you. You know, how she tried to embezzle money. How the person leading the investigation, Kia Roberts, interviewed her 6 times, and how she said that she would not recommend that Ezekiel Elliott be suspended because she didn't think the witness was credible enough, and how Roger Goodell did not even meet with her directly. He spoke to her superior and got advice from her superior who disagreed with her. We talked about all of that because we're saying that Roger Goodell still drew the conclusion that he drew regardless of that piece of evidence that I just gave you. We've talked about that ad nauseum.
Right, but with that being said, everybody hawks back to, well, he shouldn't. He put himself in a situation. He should have been there. He's stupid. If she's lying, then all that you throw all that out.
Well, Vertus, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
I think that to some degree, based on the report, I think that it's conceivable that she's lying. Let me ask you this question: somebody gonna get away with lying on you 5 different times?
Yes. If you lie about one thing, you lie about something else.
No, what I'm saying to you, no. I'm not trying to say that she may not have lied 5 different times. I said, could somebody conceivably get away with lying on you 5 different times inside of 3 days?
Personally, I think he can.
Come on, Vertus. Vertus, if you're an NFL, I feel you. I feel you on that, man. I'm not coming at you like that, bro. I'm respecting where you're coming from. I understand it. But come on, bro. When you got as much to lose as Ezekiel Elliott has to lose, okay, to find yourself on 5 separate occasions in a domestic violence situation on 5 separate occasions in 3 specific days. Come on, dog. He's got to own some of that. He's got to own some of that. Now, maybe not from a legal perspective, like you saying. That's why he wasn't arrested. That's why he wasn't indicted or prosecuted. But you can't ignore the fact that from the commissioner's perspective, you sitting there looking at him like, you a damn fool to be in this situation that a multitude of times. I'm not having that. You can't knock that.
I can't knock that 100%. I understand, but that's what I'm saying. On it.
Oh yeah, he's getting a backlash, but I'm telling you, he's not getting a backlash from me based on domestic violence because I don't know whether he's innocent or guilty based on the report. Where he's getting a backlash on me, Vertus, is the fact that he allowed himself to be in that situation on 5 separate occasions, knowing he just got drafted by the Cowboys, got every damn thing to lose, and you gonna put yourself in a situation like that on 5 separate occasions. If that ain't the epitome of stupidity, what is, Vertus?
I agree 100%. And one other thing, Stephen, I appreciate everything that you do. You know, I listen to your show. I watch you on ESPN. I'm in First Take every day. But I got to tell you,
sure,
I'm heading for Dallas. I'm heading for Dallas tomorrow when I get out of work.
Listen. Let me tell you something, Vertus. If you come there, who you coming with?
What you mean?
You talking about coming to the show? You talking about coming to First Take when we do the show Friday from Dallas? I said, who you coming with? Who you coming with?
Me and my cousin come. I'm from Memphis by myself. My cousin already in Dallas.
I'm telling you right now. You bring your cousin. You bring your cousin. You my guest. I'll get you in.
Hey,
I got you.
I'm gonna have my Dallas Cowboy Jason man.
It don't matter. I'm gonna hurt your feelings. Bring you and your cousin. You're gonna be on my list. I'll see you Friday. Did you tell them, Vertus, you a guest? You called into my radio show, and Stephen A. said you his guest. You ain't got to worry about it. I'm happy to mess with you, bro. I'm happy to mess with you. That's right. I got you. I'm gonna
hold that to you now. When
That's
I get
right.
Friday.
Look, my brother, I said it over. I said it over the live airways. What you want me to do? I got you.
Okay.
I got you. I'll see you Friday. I ain't scared of no damn Cowboy fans. I'm looking forward to coming and laughing in y'all face. Let's go to Joe in Staten Island. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Steven. The problem is nowadays with the whole stealing the sign thing is that we want it both ways in sports, right?
Okay,
we want a little bit of back in the day versus, like, the new wave of thinking.
Yep.
Back in the day, if you get caught stealing signs, you're catching a fastball off the chin. But you can't do that nowadays. Too much money invested. We're taking the power away from the players to police themselves. That's the way baseball's been played.
Ooh. Here's my problem. Joe, I can appreciate what you're saying. I truly can. But here's my problem with it. I don't like the fact that Major League Baseball players got to police themselves in the first place. You know why, Joe? Nobody else did. What makes baseball so special?
What are you talking about? Basketball did, hockey?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Come on, hockey, yes. You're right about hockey. I apologize. You're right about hockey. No other sport, Joe, had the latitude that players have to deal with each other and police themselves the way Major League Baseball does, man. And I like the fact that they're being held accountable now the way every other sport is.
Yeah, it is the Nancy-ness of today's world that you're playing these sports in.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want somebody throwing a 95-mile-per-hour fastball at somebody's head or face either.
Then don't steal signs. To every action is a reaction.
But Joe, stealing signs is one thing. You could kill somebody like that, bro. Come on,
Stephen A., in one breath, you're saying, look, you know what? Everybody should be cheating if Bill Belichick's cheating. And there's a part of me that agrees with you that says if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Right.
But at the same time, you've got to accept the ramifications.
But Joe, there is such a thing as going too far, bro. I'm not saying that you're wrong in principle, but I mean, damn, say get plucked. Go sit up there and say catch a 95-mile-per-hour fastball to the chin. You don't think that's a bit damn excessive?
Keeping the Rams practice before the Super Bowl, is that going too far? But then you're defending him in the same breath.
Because what I'm saying to you is this. First of all, he was Spygate. I can't defend that. But what I'm saying to you, Joe, I'm not talking about what you are right about in premise. I get that. I'm saying there is a such thing as being excessive. You go sit up there and talk about like it's okay for somebody to get plucked by a 95-mile-per-hour fastball to the head. I'm saying to you, please tell me you don't mean that literally, because that's a bit damn excessive for stealing signs. You don't think that's a bit excessive for stealing signs?
No, that's the way the game's been played.
95 mile per hour fastball to the head. You don't think that's excessive?
Hey, it happens. That's part of the game.
Wow. Okay, we got it, Joe. Take care of yourself, Joe. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope your son don't play. I really don't. I mean, what the hell is that? I'm all for, consequences of the game, but there is such a thing as being excessive. That's like saying that somebody get in a fight. All right, you get in a fight. Well, the consequences are you can get murdered. So be it. Really? Really?
Catch the Stephen A. Smith Show live on 98.7 ESPN New York, ESPN LA 710, and Sirius XM Channel 80.
You just can't make this stuff up.
Weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Back to the phones we go right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's go to Ed in Pennsylvania. You're live. What's going on, Ed? How are you?
All right, Stephen. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. Go ahead, my man.
Listen, your take on Colin Kaepernick, I kind of disagree with it, Stephen. Here's my reason. Here's my position.
Sure.
No doubt. I do not agree with the picture she put out there.
Time out. Just let me make sure I clarify for my listeners. You're talking about the picture Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend put out about owner Steve Bisciotti and Ray Lewisâ when he was depicting them, when she was depicting them as Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel L. Jackson's characters in the movie Django as slave owner and house slave.
Yes, exactly.
Go ahead.
My reason for disagreeing, I don't agree with the picture and its implication. However, the issue of what Colin Kaepernick did is larger, simply because they're still killing black men.
Much larger.
Okay, because you think about this year alone, Steve, we're at 250 and counting of black men in this country that have been killed by police officers.
Stop right there. Stop right there. I have to be fair to police officers in this regard. That's not all about driving while black or being stopped and frisked and all of that other stuff. There were some instances in which individuals were killed because they were criminals breaking laws, and it ain't just black folks, too. Now, you got to be fair now.
I'm being fair, but what I'm saying, Steve, the issue is greater than the picture that depicting a slave owner and the whole issue there. I don't agree with it, but my thing is the issue, and that's where I'm trying to stay focused at, is the issue that's going on in this country. Michael Bennett just had an issue with police officers. And
I was getting ready to bring that up. Go ahead.
So the issue is larger, and so we have to be careful, and this is where my issue is with you, Steve, is that we jump on that issue, and we spend a lot of time there, and the bigger issue is where I think the focus would be. No, I'm not agreeing with what she did.
I understand.
But my point is the bigger issue.
Ed, first of all, how old are you, Ed?
I'm 66, brother.
Yeah, because you've called on several occasions. First of all, I always appreciate your calls, and I always appreciate you giving me your perspective and your point of view. And even when I disagree with you, I have profound respect for you, and I really, really do.
You,
so I love you calling the show. Let me respond directly to what you said on a couple of things. Number one, Michael Bennett, he was stopped in Las Vegas by police officers. He was put to the ground. They had a knee in his back. One of the police officers said, "Don't move, MF, or don't move, or I'll blow your MF and head off," and all of this other stuff. He's thinking about filing a civil suit. Obviously, that's incredibly unfortunate. I'm just thankful that they didn't go further and they didn't end up shooting him, that he's still alive and well to talk about that. So I'm very, very happy about that. Thankful that nothing happened to Michael Bennett. Now let's get back to what you were saying. You're right, because here's the reality. Colin Kaepernick was kneeling during the national anthem to bring attention to the racial prejudices and racism itself that exists within this nation, along with police brutality. And somewhere along the way, we've gotten caught up in talking about Colin Kaepernick kneeling and people who are against him and how he can't find a job, as opposed to talking about why he knelt in the first place. So that's what you're talking about, Ed, when you're talking about focusing on a bigger issue. I agree with that. And I've said that on many occasions. We have no disagreement. Here's where you and I part ways, Ed, and I'll give you an opportunity to respond. Where we part ways is that, to me, that has nothing to do with Steve Bisciotti. Steve Bisciotti is an owner for the Baltimore Ravens who, despite all of that stuff that was going on, knowing that his bottom line could potentially be affected, or it could be stirred because the city of Baltimore and that community, you have some individuals, certainly not all, but you have some individuals who are trying to move beyond the whole Freddie Gray fiasco, okay? And so, another black man that was killed. So by bringing in Colin Kaepernick, you might stir that cup and get and sort of fuel discussions about that, etc. Steve Bisciotti had to weigh all of that and was still about to bring you on board. And Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend sent out that tweet. I'm sorry, I'm a billionaire owner who happens to be white, not black, never subjected to what you're subjected to. I'm trying to be sensitive enough to try and understand it and still be willing to come out of my pocket to give you a job because I think you could help our team, albeit as a backup, because you certainly ain't getting the job over Joe Flacco because I'm paying him over $20 million a year. And still I consider bringing you on board, and you do this? Nah, Ed, I can't fly with that. I have to support Bisciotti on that.
I'm sorry. I like to respond to that.
Sure.
And here's my response, and I appreciate it. Sure. The response to that is this, is that if it took that one incident to now make his decision firm to say no, it was a no all the time, and that just gave an opportunity to count his position, and now I got it out.
Oh, whoa. That's not true. I'm telling you what I know. I know people within the Ravens organization. I know Ray Lewisâ. I know Ozzie Newsome. I know a lot of people within the organization, and I'm telling you, Bisciotti was about to bring Colin Kaepernick to Baltimore.
Okay, but see, my position is this here, and I hear what you're saying. I'm not dismissing that, but my saying is this. If he was ready to do it, after considering all those things, that one incident, to my opinion, would not have changed his position.
You can't say that, Ed. No, wait a minute, Ed. I'm assuming you are a black man who is in his 60s. Who is in his 60s, Ed. You can't say that because you're not him. You're not a white guy who happens to be a billionaire who has no direct involvement in such of a thing. You can relate to Colin Kaepernick in ways better than most of us can, and better than I can, because you're an elder statesman. You're highly intelligent. You've experienced, and you were born pre-civil rights movement, and you know what trials and tribulations endured during that moment in time. Yeah. So you can speak to that, and there's a level of personal, you got a personal relationship with that kind of stuff. A white billionaire owner can't relate to your experiences, so you can't say if you were you can't say if you were him that you would have done such and such. No, if he were you, he might have done what you think he should have done, but not if you were him.
Well, that's true, and you know what, and that's true, because I used to go on and register vote. I did with NAACP, register voting in Pittsburgh, a lot of things. But my closing point, and I appreciate you giving me this time, she should not have done it, but I still feel that that's low-hanging fruit. And I listened to what Ray Lewisâ said, and if I go back and listen, I don't know if he said he was ready to sign or that he was still considering it. So I don't know. I'm going to listen to it again.
Well, I'm telling you what I heard.
Okay,
go ahead.
All right, man.
All right. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate the call.
Yeah,
Great call by Ed. Appreciate him as always. Ed in Pennsylvania calling in the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio 866-729 ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. We'll try to get back to your phone calls, but I think I got Evander Holyfield coming on in a few minutes as well. Former heavyweight champion of the world, cruiserweight champion of the world, light heavyweight champion of the world, one of the greatest boxers in history, a Hall of Famer, the great one, Evander Holyfield, the real deal. He's up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
3 minutes past hour number 2 back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. It is my honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line. He's one of the great boxers in history, former light heavyweight, cruiserweight, heavyweight champion of the world. He is the real deal. His name is the great Evander Holyfield. What's going on, buddy? Long time no speak. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Always great to talk to you. Before I even get into some of this boxing stuff that's going on, you've got some boxing stuff of your own going on. Real Deal Sports Entertainment Resorts World Casino in Jamaica, Queens, New York City. What's going on with that? What have you got going on September 9th, buddy?
Well, we getting ready to put on a great show, and very, very competitive fights. You know, we have the 8-round middleweight, and they're gonna be great fights.
Let me ask you this: Is this your venture into the promotional world? Are you promoting fights now? Is this what you're doing here?
Well, yeah, that's it. You know, my whole thing is that I still want to be part of boxing. I think giving these fighters an opportunity to break records, somebody got to give back to be able to point out how things should be, and I think boxing needs to come back by competitive fight. People want to see boxing. They like MMA, but they want to see some fights.
Now, you say they want to see some fights. They're about to see one September 16th with Triple G versus Canelo. They just saw one, even though some would say not necessarily a real one, between Mayweather and McGregor. How would Real Deal Sports and Entertainment be different than Golden Boy Promotions, Mayweather Promotions, or some of the other promotional arms out there like Top Rank and others? How would it be different?
Well, you know, I'm saying for boxing, you got competitive fight. You got we have the best to fight the best. You know, and then when you talk about looking after the fighter, you know, I was a fighter myself. I was glad that I had good trainers. I had good people in my corner. But this time we looking for is medical too. You know, we're not putting guys in there, they're going to get their head beat off and all this and stuff. We're looking at their health, trying to make sure that not only are these guys going to be in shape, but they're good fighters. And they you know, I'm talking about just like MMA, they had the best fighters fight the best fighters. And so the whole big thing is it's a little different when you already know who's going to win. It's not like that with us. We want to be competitive.
Got you. Talking to Evander Holyfield, the great Evander Holyfield, the Real Deal, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Remember, Real Deal Sports and Entertainment is proud to announce the development of the Real Deal Medical, an initiative to revolutionize the standard of care for its athletes in all combat sports. So kudos to Real Deal Evander Holyfield for taking on that challenge, that initiative. Thank you so much. Let's get into a couple of other things. Mayweather fought McGregor. You had a lot of people, myself included, who never believed that an MMA fighter deserved to be in a ring with a world-class championship boxer like Floyd Money Mayweather. What were your thoughts about that and ultimately how things turned out?
Well, when I looked at it, it's entertainment. You know, I don't think it's bad for two, you know, when it's an agreement. You mean it's not a forced thing, but it was something that brought attention to both sports. And, you know, and it showed that, you know, after for the guy to go that long with Mayweather, it's kind of showed that he was tough. But I realized he was tough. But, you know, it's just like when that lactic acid started building up in them shoulders, he couldn't move them arms. And now he realized that, you know what, when you fight somebody else's game, these are the things that you don't realize. And it's just like Mayweather was trying to get that guy down on the ground. That guy would have probably wrapped him up real quickly.
I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something, Evander. You know what? You giving an education right now, because let me tell you something right now. You'd be proud of me. I'm trying to get myself in shape. I'm in the boxing gym. I'm putting on the gloves and everything. And that very lactic acid that you just brought up is why it got to a point where the punching bag was hitting me. That's how bad it was, Evander. That's how bad it was, man.
Well, I'm like, when I tell people, I said, it feels like somebody actually standing on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Like this, and I said, you know, for a guy to go 12 rounds, and to think about when they used to go 15, and I went 15.
Yep.
I lost 15 pounds because it was just that tough.
Wow.
Like that. And so it's a lot difficult than what a lot of people kind of think it is.
Understood. Evander Holyfield right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What are your thoughts about September 16th, Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G? How do you think that fight's going to pan out?
This is a classic. I'm telling you, you got one guy who's young and quick and hit hard. But you got one guy, when you talk about Triple G gonna fight like Triple G, and he gonna put pressure. So but I never seen nobody pressure Canelo. I never seen nobody full pressure, and so I really don't know how well a punch he take and all that, because he never, I don't think he ever been knocked down, and so I think it's gonna be a good fight.
Who you picking?
Well, if I had to choose somebody, I kind of choose the guy who kind of fight like me. I just put the pressure, and I just try to outwork people, and I think the person that tend to outwork people kind of get it by a little bit, and I think that Triple G throw a lot of punches, and he got good defense, and he get hit, but he know how to roll them off and all that. I think if they go down to the distance, I think he gonna outpoint him.
Got you. I got Triple G by an 11th round TKO. I think he's the natural middleweight. Canelo has moved up to middleweight. He's got speed and boxing ability, but Triple G's got a jab that he uses deceptively. It's really good. He's got power in both hands. I think he can take a middleweight punch, and on top of it all, I think he's going to stalk him and wear him down. That's what I think is going to happen, Evander. That's just what I believe.
And I actually think that pretty much what you're saying is wear people down when somebody in their face all the time. If they don't hit them, they get hit. So, I actually, we think of the same thing on that.
Hey, listen.
I like Canelo, though.
I got you. I like him a lot, too. He's a great fighter. To me, as long as they both put forth a good performance, neither fighter loses in a match like this. I think Triple G's got more to lose than Canelo, though, because Canelo's younger, and he's got his whole career ahead of him. I appreciate it, Evander, man. I appreciate this initiative where, you announced the Real Deal Medical, an initiative to revolutionize the standard of care for its athletes in all combat sports. I thank you for your time. All the best to you, man. And knowing you, I'll probably see you in Vegas.
Okay, then.
Take it easy, buddy. The one and only Evander Holyfield, the real deal. Evander, Real Deal Holyfield, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, 866-729-ESPN. Let's go back to the phones. Charlie in Virginia, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Charlie?
Stephen A., I just wanted to call I just heard what happened about Bennett, and I hadn't heard anything other than what you just told the previous caller. And I don't want to come off to you or any of the other listeners as listen to this Pringle trying to take up for a white cop. But my question was, what was it that happened that made the officers treat him like that? And if he was treated wrong, I hope that he does file that civil suit.
Well, first of all, let's be clear. That's a very fair question on your part, A. And B, let's also say this. Apparently, out after the McGregor-Mayweather fight, the crowd was being dispersed. Little ruckus had taken place, and somebody heard a gunshot. And then after that, the cops looked at Michael Bennett, grabbed him, put him to the ground, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't have weapons on him or anything like that, according to the reports. And he was essentially profiled. I guess they thought he was somebody else. They put him in the car, they checked his identity, and then after that, they let him go.
So he didn't do anything wrong. They just thought that he had a weapon, and they just treated him as such.
Yeah, exactly. So according to him, we don't know what their side is, sir.
Well, if they have cameras like they usually do, like I'm pretty sure they do, they'll find out the truth. And I hope Bennett takes care of business like that. I think he ought to.
Charlie, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you. And that's a very fair question on your part. There's nothing offensive about that question. Let's go to Carlton in Massachusetts. What's up, buddy? You're live with Stephen A. What's going on, man?
I'm in Maryland. I'm driving south to Tampa. Hurricane Irma be damned. I'm going.
I got you. I'm not mad at you. I'm happy for you. The weather is certainly better there, even though that might not be the case this week. And be safe down there in Florida. But go ahead real quick because we only got a couple of minutes.
Bill Belichick has infected the Boston Red Sox now, huh?
Oh, Lord, stop it. You're talking...
Andy Reid, they be prepared for tomorrow night. You remember 2 years ago when the Steelers started the first game of the season right after they got busted for Spygate, and Mike Tomlin was listening to the Patriots radio broadcast on his headphones the whole first half?
Yeah, I remember that. Mike Tomlin was complaining about something else was on was in his earphones. I get it. I know where you're going with this, Carlton. More Patriot hate.
Patriots radio broadcast. And finally now people are starting to wake up and realize that Colin Kaepernick, the reason he doesn't have a job is because of himself, not because of him kneeling. You know, he's insulted everybody and anybody. The Cuban population with the Castro T-shirt, law enforcement with the pink socks, and Steve Bisciotti, the one guy, considering giving him a job, he goes and slanders the guy.
Carlton, we got to interrupt you because your signal is really, really bad. Call back tomorrow when you're in a stationary place and we can hear you clearly. I get where you're coming from. No, I heard some of it. I know exactly where you're going. But we'll talk about this tomorrow. Joshua in New Jersey, real quick. You only got a minute. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Oh, Stephen A. Smith, I can't wait for you to come to Dallas, man. Me and Charlamagne the God, we're gonna be waiting for you. And Dallas winning the Super Bowl. You a hater?
Please, I am a hater. I am a hater when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. They make me sick because their fans are the worst, most nauseating, disgusting fan base in American history. I feel that way. I feel passionate about saying that. I'm not gonna change my mind. I haven't changed my mind, and I can't wait until I get to Dallas in front of all those Dallas Cowboy fans. I got something special planned for y'all Friday morning when First Take is in the house. I ain't scared of y'all. You understand? You know what? You wouldn't be offended by me. You wouldn't dislike me so much if you actually won and I was wrong. You'd laugh at me. But you can't because I'm the one that's right. You're the one that hasn't won in 22 years. You're the one that's only won 22 playoff games in that span. You're the one that's been walking pieces of mediocrity. You're the one that has players with PED use, guys that's sitting up there getting in trouble with domestic violence, guys that going into apartment stores and stealing cologne and a pair of drawers while they're sitting there pushing their baby in a carriage around. This is what y'all do. Not me. Cowboy fans bring this on themselves, and I can't wait until I get there Friday. I can't wait. Talk to y'all in 22 hours. Peace and love, everybody. Stephen A. Smith signing off.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
After the sickness, after that disgusting, tingling feeling of something uncomfortably slithering through your body when you hear details of domestic violence has somehow managed to subside, there are still a multitude of things that should give us a cause to pause, that should stop us in our tracks, that should give us plenty of reasons to avoid applause for quite some time when it comes to Cowboy star running back Ezekiel Elliott. And guess what? It's not just because of Elliott himself. Lost in the aftermath of Elliott's 6-game suspension being upheld is the noise reverberating from everywhere else. There's the league playing the role of cops, convicting with highly suspect yet circumstantial evidence, buffered by a commissioner who's unapologetically consumed by appearances. There's an NFL Players Association led by the executive director DeMaurice Smith, who appears more interested in using the public to rectify what he couldn't get done at the negotiating table rather than engaging in something called labor relations with Raj Goodell, which happens to be a part of his job description. Perhaps worst of all, however, is the noise that's been echoed from the chambers of the Elliott household, meaning Ezekiel Elliott's father. Yeah, I said it. Remember what the man with the Twitter handle Ambassador Elliott tweeted this past August 14th when his son's suspension was announced? Well, here it is. Quote, "My son's legal team is ready to fight. Let's deal. You will know the setup and the plot." Does anybody have a problem with this? You should. Because at this moment, there are folks on Elliott's side of the camp lamenting how 6 weeks away from the Cowboys' facilities, practices, etc., could actually be detrimental to Elliott's well-being. In other words, they're concerned about how he'll behave just because he's away from football for a couple of months. As his father, shouldn't you have a problem with this? Should not these words sicken you, sir? We'll contemplate why the hell his daddy has a Twitter account on another day. For the purposes of today, regarding this decision specifically, what does it say about you, sir, that this is the concern folks have about your son, the young man you raised? No doubt those very questions sound cruel to some, but consider all the time we highlight these rags to riches stories, the trials and tribulations, lamenting the fact that so many of these stars were devoid of a father figure in their lives. Apparently, that isn't the case with Ezekiel Elliott. Yet he's still in this situation, isn't he? Sadly, why doesn't appear to be the only question any longer. His father may have created more intrigue than he actually brought.